Hey guys, welcome to Easy Coding. So today we are going to see how to pass AC 900 exam within 8 hours. I have scored 865 in the AC 900 exam on 22nd of the May, that is around 10 days before. So it's a really simple exam, so we have to go through some theory concept and some dumps as well. So I have already shared one video regarding the questions which is asked in my exam, that is real time questions, and you can go through that as well. So we will discuss the most important points you should remember while writing AC 900 exam. So let us start with the first topic, virtual machines. I have highlighted all the main points in yellow color. So you should learn all these points because these are the questions which is asked in my exam. So I have prepared using this document. I would say you should learn this document. So let us start with the first one, choosing the size for the virtual machine. The size of the virtual machine plays an important role in both cost and performance. So let us see 750 hours of compute only free per month only for the B1S VM size. For the free virtual machine, we will get 750 hours of compute. We have to note that. So these are the specification which we are getting in the free VM. So let us move to the down. So if you need better performance, you will have to choose a virtual machine size that is outside the boundaries of the free service. In free service, we are getting the spec and as well as the 750 hours of compute. And the costing for a virtual machine. This is the most important point. You will get one question definitely from this session. So remember that costing for a virtual machine depends on several factors such as time as it runs for, the region used for. This is one important point, the region. So you have to remember time and the region used for hosting the virtual machine, the underlying operating system. So the cost of a virtual machine is depends on the time, region and the operating system. If you don't need the virtual machine running for a certain duration of time, you can always go ahead and stop the virtual machine. So that will not cost compute cost for the corresponding virtual machine. So if we stop one virtual machine, that will be deallocated or in the stopped state. So you don't get charged for the compute cost of the virtual machine. So this is one another important question which is usually asking in the AC 900 exam. They will ask if we deallocate one virtual machine, do we have to pay for the virtual machine? Yes, we have to pay because here it is mentioned as you don't get charged for the compute cost, but we have to pay for the storage, that is disk storage we have to pay, even if it is the virtual machine is in deallocated or it is in the stopped state. So to ensure you don't get charged for the compute cost for the virtual machine must be in the stopped or deallocated state. Also keep a note that you will be charged for the aspect of the virtual machine such as the disk attached to the virtual machine. This is what I said. So we have to pay for the disk attached to a virtual machine even if it is in the stopped or deallocated state. So let us move to the next one, availability set. So before that, so these are the two main points which is frequently asking in AC 900 exam from the virtual machine point of view, that is the disk storage and as well as the time it runs, operating system and the region. So let us move on to the next topic, that is availability set. This is also one important point. You will get at least one question from this section. So when you host your virtual machines in Azure, we have to face some challenges. So that is an unplanned event wherein underlying infrastructure fails unexpectedly. The failure could be attributed to network failures, local disk failures or even rack failures. So some unplanned event. And the second point is some kind of updation, that is virtual machine is going to update those kind of things. So planned maintenance events wherein Microsoft needs to make planned updates to the underlying physical environments. In such cases a reboot might be required on your virtual machine. So you can increase the availability of your application by making use of availability set. So that is the purpose. When it is down or when it is in the maintenance phase, we can increase the availability of our application by making use of availability set. Each virtual machine that is assigned to the availability set is assigned to a separate fault and update domain. Fault means for the first case. So here we will say for the fault domain, and the maintenance thing we will say update domain. So you will definitely get a question from the highlighted section. That is, if you deploy 2 or more virtual machines in an availability set, you will get a guarantee of virtual machine connectivity to at least one virtual machine 99.95% of the time. So they will ask how we will get 99.95% of the availability in using availability set. Then you can say we have to deploy 2 or more virtual machines. So let us move to the next point, that is availability zone. This feature helps provide better availability for your application by protecting them from data center failures. So you have to learn this point, data center failures, that is related to availability zone. Each availability zone is a unique physical location in an Azure region. Each zone comprises of one or more data centers that has independent power, cooling and networking. This question is asked in my exam, definition of availability zone. So you have to learn these 2 points. And the next one, hence the physical separation of the availability zones helps protect application against data center failures. Using availability zones, you can be guaranteed an availability of 99.99% for your virtual machines. You need to ensure that you have 2 or more virtual machines running across multiple availability zones. So this is also major point. How we will get 99.99% of availability by using 2 or more virtual machines running across multiple availability zone, not one availability zone. You have to stress this point, multiple availability zone. Then we will get 99.99%. And the next one is, does it cost more to use an availability zone? Well, no, you don't get charged separately for the use of availability zone. So availability zone is free. So the next session is Azure Virtual Network. The Azure Virtual Network service is used to define an isolated network in Azure. The virtual network can be used to host your resources such as Azure Virtual Machines. The Azure Virtual Network gets assigned an address space which you specify when you create an Azure Virtual Network. You can then add subnets to your Azure Virtual Network. This is important. What are the parts of an Azure Virtual Network? So you will get an address space and you will get a subnet. This helps divide your network into more logical segments. So we can see one example here. This is a logical segment, subnet A and subnet B. One address space is assigned to this. So this is virtual network. So you have to note that a virtual network consists of one address space and subnets. When you create a virtual machine in a virtual network, the virtual machine gets a private IP address from the address space of the subnet it is launched in. Yes, get a private address space. Next one is network security groups. This is also important point in AC 900 exam. So these are used to filter network traffic to and from Azure resources in an Azure virtual network. The question will be asked in that way only. So you have to learn this theory. These are used to filter network traffic to and from Azure resources in an Azure virtual network. A network security group is attached to the network interface attached to the virtual machine. A network security group consists of inbound rules that are used to control the traffic inbound into a virtual machine. That means traffic into the virtual machines. So this is one important point, and I got one question related to the inbound and outbound traffic. By default, all traffic into a virtual machine is denied. So you have to stress on this point because it is already asked in my exam. By default, all traffic into a virtual machine is denied, and you have explicitly add rules to allow traffic into a virtual machine. There are also outbound rules. That means the traffic flowing outside of the network virtual machine. So by default, all the traffic outbound onto the internet is allowed. So outbound is allowed, inbound is denied. So you have to stress on these 2 points. It's already asked in my exam. And the next one is virtual network peering. Virtual network peering is used to connect two Azure virtual networks together via the backbone network. Azure support connecting two virtual networks located in the same region or networks located across regions. Once you enable virtual network peering between two virtual networks, the virtual machine can then communicate via their private IP address across the peering connection. You can also pair virtual networks that are located across different subscriptions. So it's a connection between two networks located in the same region. And we can connect across different subscriptions as well. This is point to site VPN connection. So I'm not going through that. I have collected all the points here, so you can read that. This is not asked in my exam, so, and I haven't seen many questions from this session. You can read that if you need. I'll share the Word document with you. And the next one is a site-to-site VPN connection. A site-to-site VPN connection is used to establish a secure connection between an on-premise network. On-premise network means our private connection. On-premise network and an Azure network via the internet. So this is below the diagram for that. And let us move to the major point, that is important points. So the VPN gateway resource you create in Azure is used to route encrypted traffic between your on-premise data center and your Azure virtual network. This question is asked in my exam, so you have to stress on this one also. So let us move to the next one, that is Azure storage account. This is most important part of AC 900 exam. Just like VM availability said, you have to learn this theory for Azure storage account also. You can learn the points which I have mentioned in this video, the highlighted points in the corresponding Word document. So the major using storage account is general purpose V2 account. This consists of blob, file, queue and table service. So you have to note this one, general purpose V2 account. And there is another one, V1 account. This is an old version, but this is a new version. And blob storage account. And the next one is file storage account for file only storage, and blob storage account. So you can read all these points. I am going through only main points, that is important points. The most common type of storage account is the general purpose V2 storage account. We have file, blob and table service. Let me check. Yeah, table service and queue service in the V2 account. So let us go to the next one. These are the scenarios, use case scenario for the different services in general purpose V2 storage account. The first one is blob storage. So this is most important part. You have to learn this. This is object storage for the cloud. Here you can store massive amounts of unstructured data on the cloud. This is highly recommended when you want to store image, document, video and audio files. They want to store large amount of video and something like that. Then you have to use the blob storage. And within the blob service, you create a container that is used to store the blob object. So we have to create a container in order to store the blob files, documents. So first we have to create a container. Inside of the container, we are storing the documents, I mean the data. These are the different types of blobs. Blob blobs. This is used for storing text and binary data. The next one is append blobs. This is ideal for logging data. Then next one is page blob. This is used to store virtual hard disk files for Azure virtual machines. This is also most frequently asked question. The next one is to use the blob service. You have to first create a container and then upload the blobs or objects into the container. We have already discussed that. And we'll go to the next one. When you upload an object or a blob to the service, you get each blob gets a unique URL. So you will get a unique URL to access those data which is stored in the blob storage. Next one is file service. Use this service if you need to store files that need to be accessed by machines using the SMB protocol, server message block protocol. So this is one important point. And in the file service, you can first go ahead and create a file share. You can then mount this file shared from different machines. You can't mount drives within the blob service. This is asked in my exam. This is most important. So it was like which storage account, that is which storage service can mount the files. So you have to select the file storage. Blob doesn't have that functionality. So you have to remember that. And the next one is table service. So this is used to store table like data, and it is easy and simple to create a table and add from the Azure portal itself. And the next one is queue service. This is used for messaging mechanism. This is also asked in my exam. So this is also important. And it's also in the frequently asked questions itself. So you can learn this one also. And this is a corresponding example. You can see the container inside blob. So we are uploading the objects or blob into the container. The next one is Azure Storage Accounts Replication. There are different replication techniques available to make your data highly available. The different replication techniques available are locally redundant, zone redundant, and geo redundant. So you can go through all these points, and one more is the read access geo redundant. You can go through all these replication methods, and I haven't seen any questions from this specific location. You can read this document. And the next one, Azure Storage Account, Access Tiers. Access Tiers help you to optimize the storage cost and access cost for your data. The different access tiers are, this is also important one. I got one question from this session also. So the first one is hot. This is optimized for storing data that is accessed frequently. This can be set at the account level. That is hot. And the next one is cool. This is optimized for storing data that is infrequently. This is for frequently accessed data, and cool is for infrequently accessed and stored for at least 30 days. This can be set at the account level. And the important point is that for the cool access tier, the storage costs are lower than the hot tier, but the access costs are higher than the hot access tier. So the storage cost is less in the cool access tier, but the access cost is higher in the cool access tier. The next one is archive tier. There are 3 tiers: cool, hot, and archive. So this is optimized for storing data that is rarely accessed and stored for at least 180 days. This can be set only at the blob level. When a blob is in the archive tier, you can't access the blob. You have to rehydrate the blob first before it can be accessed. So this is one important point which is frequently asked in the AC 900 exam, and I got one question from this session, that is this one: how to access the archive tier data. That is, we have to rehydrate the blob first before it can be accessed. So we have to stress on this point as well. Also, the storage costs are the least when it comes to the archive access, but the access costs are the highest. So first is hot, then cool, then archive. For the hot tier, we have to give more storage cost, but the access is less. So in that way, hot, cool, and archive. Archive is the most highest accessing cost and lowest storage cost. Just like that, hot is the highest storage cost and lowest access cost. Next one is Azure SQL Database, Platform as a Service. You have to note that this is one important point for an example of Platform as a Service. This is Azure SQL Database. I guess you all know that for Infrastructure as a Service, Azure Virtual Machine is the example. Virtual Machine is an example for Infrastructure as a Service, and Azure SQL Database is an example for Platform as a Service. This is a service that allows you to create a managed Microsoft SQL Server database on the cloud. The advantages of using this service: you don't have to manage the underlying infrastructure. This is managed by Azure. You don't have to manage the underlying infrastructure. This is managed by Azure because it is Platform as a Service. In Infrastructure as a Service, we have to manage that. So that's why it is we don't have to manage the infrastructure in the Platform as a Service, that is in the Azure SQL database. You have a variety of purchasing options. You have automated backups. This reduces the burden of managing backups. And the next important point is it gives you a service level agreement of 99.99%. So SLA is 99.99%. If you need to have more control over the database engine, then considering installing the SQL Server engine on an Azure virtual machine. So that would not be a Platform as a Service. Azure Synapse Analytics. It is also known as data warehouse. This is most important point. So this was formerly known as Azure SQL Data Warehouse. Now it's known as Azure Synapse Analytics. The service is used for enterprise data warehousing and big data analytics. So you will definitely get one question from this section. So you should learn this one also. And when you want to perform analysis on a large data set, consider using this service. This is important point. When you want to perform analysis on a large data set, consider using this one. The next one is Azure Cosmos DB. This is the data store that companies can opt for when they want to get low latency access to their data and they want high availability for their data. For high availability and low latency, we can use Azure Cosmos DB. This is one important point, and it is a multi-model database. This is an important point, very, very important. It is a multi-model database. You will definitely get one question from this. This means you can choose from a variety of options when it comes to what type of data you want to store in the account. So let's see what type of data we can store. So we can see that Azure Cosmos DB support 5 type of APIs. SQL API, that is JSON is the data structure. Next one is MongoDB API. There we have using BSON. BSON is a binary serialization of JSON like document. So BSON is binary JSON. The next one is Germline API, that is used for graph. You have to remember all these points. Table API, that is key value pairs. Cassandra API, that is column basic data. That is column is the data structure in Cassandra. So we have covered part 1 of the AC 900 exam. So you can expect questions from the highlighted section of this document. So I hope it's all clear to you and it will be useful to you. So please go through the points. If you need, I'll share the Word document, so you can go through that and you can write the exam. So all the best. I'll upload the part 2 in the next video, that is the remaining concept related to the AC 900 exam. So let us see in the next session. Bye bye.